Hi everybody,
Hello.
Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about our bookish goals for 2020.
Yes. Yes. It's a goal setting time.
I love setting goals.
I love setting goals. Even if I
never reach them.
yeah.
But who doesn't like
starting point?
Who doesn't like to make a good list?
I love me a good list.
Me too.
Love me a good list. So, bookish goals.
Tell me, what's your...
We're going to go top 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I guess technically these aren't in any particular order.
No.
My number 1 is to up my reading goal. So I mentioned in a future video, I found it hard to get to 30 books this year, but that's because there were times where I know that I should have done more reading. I want to encourage myself to read more.
Yeah.
I do well under pressure. Pretty much in all things. Sometimes I'm a chronic procrastinator, so it might be the same thing. I might be pushing again to reach 35 this time next year, but if I didn't, I would just rest on my laurels and never get there. So I'm gonna aim for 35.
I was gonna ask you what
35 because I was 30 last year, which I did.
Yeah.
Just did. So I'm aiming for 35.
Yeah.
This year. That is my goal. That's sort of my number 1 goal.
Now, interestingly enough, because that was your goal.
I know, I can see your notes right here.
My goal is to not worry about the number of books that I read. Mm-hmm. Typically, I'm not someone that gets too caught up in anything like that, but it definitely is something like I find... for those of you that have Goodreads, when you set that goal at the beginning of the year, I mean, you can always go in and change it. Like, it's not like it's a concrete goal.
Yep.
But, like, it'll tell me, like, right now, it's like you're 18 books behind.
Interesting that we're taking 2 different approaches.
I know! Isn't that funny?
Like everything else, we're the complete opposite when
Yeah.
it comes to this kind of thing. My next goal, we are going to have a future episode of most intimidating books, okay? On our to be read. And I don't want to get into too much about that, but I want to clear it. So I have 3. Whenever Robyn gave me a topic, I tried to pick like 3 things.
Yes.
So I have 3, and obviously a future episode will go into more detail about that, but I want to clear that most intimidating book list. For whatever reason, they're on that list.
Yeah.
I don't want it to still be the same at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I am that is one list that I'm going to focus on because for the most part, the books that are on there have been on there for a long time.
I know.
For one reason or another.
And usually they just keep getting bumped.
And they keep getting bumped, so...
Because they're intimidating.
You know, in an effort to maybe... Yeah, because it... well, 2 out of the 3 that are on there I actually own and are literally sitting on my shelf.
Staring
at me. And I want that to stop.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and clear my most intimidating books, which we'll talk about in a future episode.
My other goal is to buy less books.
Oh.
Which is like struggle.
Yes.
Because I buy lots and lots of books. Like
that is a completely different hobby than reading them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what happens is that I buy books and I don't obviously read them right away. And then when I do read them, I don't like them.
Right.
And
you've built up too much.
There was a point where my bookshelf was just full of books, every book that I read, and I thought, like, that's a little excessive for me. For somebody else, that's fantastic. If that's what you want to do, all the power to you. For me, I just don't. I just want my collection to be of the books that I love.
Right.
So, like, if somebody came into my house and they're like, recommend a book for me, I could take one from my shelf and be like, here.
Now, do you reread books?
No.
See, I do.
That's another goal.
I'm a chronic rereader. If I really liked a book, I will almost always reread it at some point. So, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
Because then your rereads you have on the shelf that you can just sort of grab.
Right.
But it does take away from reading new books, so...
It does.
There's that.
And then it's also a waste of money. Because I've bought a book that I don't like and then I have to get rid of it. So I have to donate it to the library or give it to a friend or whatever.
Yes.
So I am going to buy less books and use my library more.
Yes.
I love the library.
Right.
You should use your library.
Yeah, I don't use the library.
You should use your library. But I love the library. I think it's a great service, and it's one that I would certainly be sad to lose. So I want to make sure that
yes. Yes,
I get
and I'll
lots of
cut
books.
down on costs because then you just buy the books that you love. This is a great
Exactly.
idea. Do as I say, not as I do.
Okay.
Do as she says.
Do as I say.
And my last goal, last year I unofficially had a goal of introducing myself to Agatha Christie, which I
Right.
did. I read 7 of her books last year, 7 out of my 30. So this year I want to read more of the classics.
Do you?
I want to read more of the classics. So, actually, Anna Green Gables
I was gonna
was
say.
an example that I used. So, Anna Green Gables, because I know how much you love them.
Yeah. If you hate it, I would be so sad.
I know. Isn't that the worst when that happens? I also would like to read another just classic that I have on the list, Frankenstein.
You haven't read Frankenstein?
I have not read Frankenstein. I've seen the show. I saw the show, live show at Neptune Theater years ago. So I want to read that.
Yeah.
And one of the only books, I don't even actually know, my father's not much of a reader, but he has named this book to me on more than one occasion, maybe because it's been made into movies, I don't know, The Count of Monte Cristo. He has mentioned that to me a few times, and so that is also, those sort of classics.
The Three Musketeers, and
Yes.
Alexander Dumas wrote The Count of Monte Cristo and The Three Musketeers.
There you go.
It's always been one that I've wanted to read too.
So maybe that'll be, maybe we'll set that up one month and we'll just do an episode on that, because we don't have very many books that are on our to be read list that are the same.
No,
we don't.
No.
So that was just one of the like I have etc. So those are just some.
Have you read any Jane Austen?
I have.
Okay, I was gonna say, because you
I
like
have
totally
Jane
should if you
Austen.
haven't.
Fun fact: my daughter, who is going to be 3 this month, shares the same birthday as Jane Austen.
No.
Yes, which I had to wait. She was 10 days overdue. So, but if there's a silver lining,
Yes.
she shares a birthday with Jane Austen.
That's so cool.
Yes.
Those are good goals.
Those are good goals. What about you?
My third goal is to reread 3 books.
That's so funny. I had a ton of rereads this year.
Never reread a book. I love books, but I have this like, oh my God, there's so many books that I want to read, and there's so little time, and
yes.
But so I never reread. Right. But I want to make sure that I reread 3 books this year.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I would say I probably had about 10 books on my reread this year.
Did you really?
I will tell you, they were all from the same series, because a new one came out, and I got a few pages in, and they talked about something that happened in a previous book, and I couldn't remember it.
Oh my gosh.
So I went back to the beginning, and I reread all of them. It is the main character's name is Logan McCrae. The author's name is Stuart McBride. He is a...
you read 10 books?
At least 10.
Of that series to read the new one?
Yes.
That is commitment.
That's commitment. And I've been reading this
Holy
series
smokes.
for over 10 years. Over 10 years I've been reading this series. I flew through them this year. I did. Yeah, I flew through. So that was a big chunk of books I read this year were rereads. So, but I had a reason. It wasn't just that I randomly, and I did a reread. I reread like a random Harry Potter book.
Yeah.
I think it was The Goblet of Fire I reread this year. Oh, and I always read The Other Berlin Girl. I pretty much read that every year. So that was a reread from this year as well. So, yeah. So that's another series that I love and I recommend. It didn't make my top 5, but hey,
she reread 10 books to read one. So.
Yeah. So that's our bookish goals for this year.
For 2020. So
2020, right.
What we're actually going to be doing is towards the end of the year, we'll do a recap.
Yes.
To see if we met the goals.
Yes. A recap episode.
Yeah, I think that would be key.
That's where these goals are probably going to come back and haunt me. But you know what? I'm not even gonna say it. I'm just gonna.
You're just gonna do it.
I'm just gonna do it. Maybe this will hold me accountable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching.
Yes. Again, let us know what your bookish goals are.
What are your bookish goals for 2020?
Yes.
Leave a comment down below and let us know.
Yes.
And again, if you like the content, like and subscribe. We would love to have you join our family of book friends. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and
Yes.
have a great day. Bye.
Bye.